Before we get started, don't forget to grab something to eat at rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of beef, turkey, and bacon jerky, honey barbecue popcorn, and gummy sour bears. When you think of the 90s R&B sound, a group that probably comes to mind is High Five. The group seemed destined to be prominent figures of the New Jack Swing era, especially after the release of their 1990 chart-topping single, I Like the Way, The Kissing Game. Although they blessed us with 5 studio albums and continued releasing music well into the 2000s, the group suffered multiple setbacks. Teenage pregnancy, losses, arrests, and tragedies. This is a High Five story like you've never heard before. Waco, Texas singer and producer William Walton formed the group Adore, which was signed to Jive Records. Through his connections in the industry, he met a manager named Vinnie Bell. Vinnie was interested in developing a young act, and William had the perfect person in mind, fellow Waco native Tony Thompson, whom he used to compete against in local talent shows.
And, Vincent just took the time and the money to fly down to Texas, Waco, Texas. And, that's how we got, we hooked up from there.
He had the it factor, complete with the right voice, the right looks, and the right moves.
He was singing in a high tenor range like Ralph Tresvant, but he was doing all these gospel runs at 12 years old.
Using Tony as the focal point, they brought in some additional members, including fellow Waco native Russell Neal and Oklahoma native Toriano Easley. William helped compose the group's demo so they could land a record deal. But according to our friends over at Halftime Chat YouTube channel, record labels just weren't interested. So they went back to the drawing board and added Marcus Sanders and Roderick Pooh Clark to turn the group into a quintet. According to a 2014 documentary, the group was originally called The Playmates, but after Hugh Hefner and them folks over at the Playboy Mansion threatened legal action, the group's name was changed to High Five, using the V in Roman numerals. Online sources report that in order to avoid confusion with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, they removed the Roman numeral and they landed a deal with Jive Records.
I'm a little more comfortable wearing the HIV High Five Roman numeral this year. Now they got a fix for it. Shout out to my man Magic Johnson.
Marcus told Halftime Chat YouTube channel that they signed a standard record deal. And surprise, surprise, it wasn't in their favor.
You gotta realize I was 15, 16. As a teenager and just having that opportunity, we were just excited to be able to be doing something, right? And we figured the money will just work itself out.
Jive sent High Five to New York to work on their debut album with Teddy Riley. As their first single, I Just Can't Handle It, hit the number 66 spot on what was then known as the Billboard Black Singles Chart, Toriano was accused of a vicious crime. According to the LA Times, in September 1990, Toriano shot his acquaintance, 17-year-old Jim Gallagly, following a heated argument in Oklahoma City.
In this incident, he shot someone?
It was self-defense. It was self-defense.
I heard that too.
In information we obtained from the Oklahoma County Court records, Toriano, who was 3 months shy of his 17th birthday when the incident took place, pled guilty to a lesser charge of manslaughter in March 1991 and served 6.5 years behind bars. And obviously was no longer involved with the group. In court documents obtained by RRG, we discovered that Toriano found himself back in trouble with the law almost immediately upon his release. In 1997, a warrant was issued for his arrest for leaving the scene of an accident that resulted in personal injury. And in subsequent years, Toriano faced more charges, including traffic violations, a child support case, and intent to distribute a controlled substance, to name a few. While Toriano was dealing with his court matters, High Five continued working toward their dream. They released their self-titled debut album on September 25, 1990. The album reached the #1 spot on the Billboard charts and was certified gold. Toriano was replaced by Bronx native Treston Irby. Treston told the LA Times, "I'm from the big city, so I figured I could help them get hip. I was surprised that these well-known singers were such hicks." Although he was happy to be a part of the group, he wasn't completely satisfied with the sound of their music. He told the Times that High Five's first album was too bubblegum, and he was ready to help them move up to the next level. He joined the group just in time to help promote their single, "I Like the Way," The Kissing Game. The song was certified gold and spent a couple of weeks at the #1 spot. To this day, the track is considered a classic R&B song that pays homage to sweet and innocent teenage love. Their second album, entitled Keep It Going On, dropped in 1992, and it signaled a more mature shift in High Five's music. While the album didn't perform nearly as well as the first one, it produced two standout singles, She's Playing Hard to Get, which was co-written by William Walton, and Quality Time, which was written and produced by Robert Kelly.
'Cause I can't wait another minute. I can't wait another minute for your love.
Tony was by far the shining star of the group, and he was hired to work with other artists. His unique voice can be heard on the background vocals of Guy's 1990 song, Let's Chill. Keep in mind, Tony was only 14 when the song was recorded, and he was working in the studio with much older artists. RRG can confirm that in 1990, 15-year-old Tony impregnated a 17-year-old girl named LaBonda Cobb. They welcomed their son Tevin in August 1991. According to their episode of Unsung, High Five felt that their managers were too strict on them, and they wanted a little bit of freedom. Treston told Chicago Now website that they started rebelling while out on the road. They didn't want to do their homework, and they would always give their tutor a hard time. The group members also confirmed that they all dabbled with substances, although RRG can't confirm at which point during their career they started experimenting. This was around the time they decided to let go of their manager, Vinnie Bell. Treston told Chicago Now he was the only one who wanted to keep Vinnie on board. Treston added, "There were some conniving things that it seemed he did, but in my sense, he didn't do nothing wrong." They also felt like they weren't being properly compensated by Jive Records. Russell was the most vocal about his displeasure and made it clear that the fame, notoriety, and all the perks weren't enough. He wanted to get paid what he deserved. When the group flew to New York to film the music video for She's Playing Hard to Get, Russell failed to show up, and the choreographer acted as a stand-in during the video. As a quartet, they hit the road in 1993 to promote their second album. While driving on I-95 in Florida, their vehicle was hit from behind. Roderick "Pooh" Clark was left paralyzed from the chest down. No longer able to perform, Pooh reached out to Russell and asked him to rejoin the group as a favor to him, and Russell agreed. Sadly, Pooh passed away in April 2022 at the age of 49. While his friends and family didn't immediately confirm the official cause of his passing, TMZ reported that the entertainer succumbed to an infection after a bout with pneumonia. High Five recorded one more album with Jive to fulfill their 3-album commitment. Before the album's release, they signed with Giant Records, and each member was given a signing bonus of around $60,000. According to the group's Unsung, they decided that Russell would only receive half of that amount since he left the group for a period of time. Instead of fighting with them, Russell left the group for good. 2 more members were added to the mix, Shannon Gill and Terrence Murphy. The new members were photographed for the cover of the group's 3rd album entitled Faithful, which was released in October 1993. The album produced the singles Unconditional Love and Never Should Have Let You Go. Because Jive was focused on its new artist, Robert Kelly, and they knew High Five was leaving the label anyway, Jive didn't promote the album, and it was a commercial flop.
By then, I think that, we were all just kind of dealing with, the changes that came from being in the business and, trying to figure out as, young adults, how do we move forward?
Things continued to go downhill from there. In March 1995, William Walton, the man who was influential in the creation of the group, passed away at the age of 27. RRG is unable to confirm the cause of his passing. While on Giant Records, the group discovered the label was more interested in Tony as a solo artist. The label agreed to release a High Five album after Tony's debut solo album. However, High Five never released an album on the label, and the group disbanded for many years. Tony's album Sexational came to life with the help of several talented artists, writers, and producers, including Devontae Swing of Jodeci, Missy Elliott, Diddy, Usher, and Mary J. Blige. But Tony struggled on his own, and his substance habit spiraled out of control. Without his High Five members to help him conceal his habit, he was dropped from Giant Records. He eventually signed with Bad Boy Records, but his substance issues derailed that deal as well. In 2005, Tony released a High Five album called The Return on In-Depth Entertainment, which featured him, Terrence, and 3 new members. The original members filed an injunction that prohibited Tony from selling the album under the High Five name. In 2007, Treston and Marcus reached out to Tony with an idea to put the original members of High Five back together. Unfortunately, it would never come to pass. On June 1, 2007, 31-year-old Tony's body was found behind an apartment building in Waco. It was later determined that he passed away from inhaling a toxic amount of Freon. Almost 3 months later, on August 30, 2007, Tony's 34-year-old sister Alice passed away, just 3 days before what would have been Tony's 32nd birthday. At this time, RRG is unable to confirm the cause of her passing. During High Five's hiatus, Treston told Chicago Now website he suffered from depression. He fell into a dark place and felt lost. He wanted to be a role model for his child, and he didn't know how to do that without being in the music business. And then his life got flipped upside down. Just 2 years after Tony passed away, Treston was shot 5 times outside a New Haven, Connecticut nightclub. According to NBC News, Treston was an innocent bystander when shots rang out. Thankfully, he was able to make a full recovery. He told Chicago Now website the incident was a wake-up call for him. In 2012, Treston, Marcus, and Shannon reformed High Five with 2 new members and released new music. Meanwhile, Russell found himself at the center of a major tragedy. On July 1, 2014, Russell walked into a Houston police station and told law enforcement officials that he and his wife, Catherine Martinez, had gotten into an argument and she had passed away in the apartment they shared with their 2 sons. Police went to the apartment and found Catherine's body. Russell was taken into custody. He was charged but was later released on a $100,000 bond. His bond was later revoked when he told the bail bondsman that he no longer answered to Russell Neal and his new name was Jesus Christ. Russell was sent to a state mental hospital, and after a year of treatment, a court deemed him mentally ill and incompetent to stand trial. Prosecutors refused to drop charges and scheduled a new competency hearing for August 2017. As of this video, there are no further updates on the case. And if that isn't shocking enough, Russell's younger brother Ronald had previously taken his wife's life as well. Ronald also claimed insanity before finally pleading guilty. He was sentenced to 80 years behind bars. Through everything this group has been through, High Five is still going strong. They recorded some music, but the R&B landscape has changed so much that their new music didn't perform well. Instead, they performed their old songs for all of their adoring fans, all while honoring the memories of the members that are no longer here. Let us know if you're shocked by what happened to High Five, and thanks for watching RRG.